I'm going to talk about non-motor symptoms of Parkinson's disease, starting with cognition. Oh, this angle is bad. Okay, so we are using functional near-infrared spectroscopy, which is an imaging method shown on the lower left there that uses light to look at brain activation. It's totally portable. So unlike fMRI, we can conduct studies while people are walking. We're very interested in people with PD is they're walking and doing a cognitive task. So that's called dual tasking. It's difficult for them to do that. And we want to look at brain activity during dual tasks, such as is shown on the right, where you see some activation in prefrontal cortex, for example. What we're interested in for this study is for us to look at subjective cognitive decline in people with PD. They experience this a lot, where they feel like something's off cognitively, but our objective cognitive measures are not picking it up. So they know something's up, but we can't figure it out. So we thought we're going to use brain activity to try to figure out if there's some pattern, some underlying pattern that can tell us about SCD. So this is being directed by my graduate student, Nishat Mukadam. And we're using FNIRS in prefrontal and premotor cortex. We're using a measure of subjective cognitive decline called ECOG, which gets at a lot of different areas of cognition. And we're using objective cognitive measures. So what we've found so far, we have more subjects than are showed up here. We just haven't analyzed them yet. We're seeing significant positive correlations, as shown in red on the matrix, between various aspects of cognition and extent of prefrontal activation. So the worse your SCD, the more you're activating, right? And this is while they're doing the dual task walking as opposed to just walking without a cognitive test. So this is hard for them to do. And we think what's happening is that they're maybe compensating in some way. All right, and so FNIRS may provide a marker for us before our cognitive tests do. All right, the next thing, completely switching gears here and being directed by Shraddha Kinger in my lab, is looking at mood and well-being rather than cognition, which is, again, problem in PD. And we're looking at green space exposure, that is nature exposure, and how it may affect people with PD. You might know about this already, that people always talk about being out in nature is really good for you in a lot of ways, relieves depression, et cetera. It hasn't really been looked at in PD. And so we were doing that. The studies that are out there usually don't distinguish between being out in nature and other things that go on at the same time, like physical activity, right? Or being out with other people. So we wanted to control that too. So this is an online survey, nationwide sample. And we measured exposure to natural environments in a couple of ways. So we have the objective measure, which is normalized difference vegetation index, NDVI. And that's derived from satellite imagery of participants' residences. Then we have self-reported use of natural environments, so frequency and duration of being out in nature. We looked at exercise habits and social accompaniment, and we had assessments of mood and well-being. And what we found was that in people with PD, but not healthy older adults, there was relief of depression and stress, even after we had controlled for physical activity and social accompaniment. The objective measure didn't correlate like that, you know? So what we concluded was it's not necessarily how much green space you live around, but rather how often you use it that predicts mood and well-being. And there may be a potentially unique restorative effect of nature for people with PD apart from exercise and social engagement. And just as a final note there, we're also doing an in-person study now using smartphones and Fitbits to look at this more live. Thank you.